Uh, Welcome.
You say welcome.
No, I'm not gonna say welcome. That's always you.
Welcome. Welcome to the Radio Toons podcast, guys. How's it going? Good?
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Good? You just watched a couple of the Defenders episodes you did?
Yeah, the Defenders just premiered about like 2 weeks ago. 3
Yeah.
weeks ago, I can't remember how much.
So we have a topic for this episode. If you read the title, just bear with us. But Ernie just watched the first 3 episodes of the Defenders, Marvel's
Yeah.
Defenders, and we thought let's just have a little discussion about that before
Yeah.
we get into this.
Just so everybody knows where my state of mind is, I finished Daredevil. Haven't seen Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, or Iron Fist.
Yeah, I told him he could skip those. I mean, it's not that they're bad
And-
shows, but Daredevil's the one you want to watch. You know?
Right, and I can see why. So I'm going into the Defenders pretty blind in terms of those 3 characters.
Yeah.
First things I gotta say, just visually, they're trying very, very hard visually, like super hard to sell you this
Yeah.
4-in-1 kind of deal.
The first thing you notice right away is the color coordination, right?
Which is a good sell because okay, you're if you're a Jessica Jones fan, if you're any of those fans, they're represented by a color.
Yeah.
Which is really good because it's good to separate your story and see how they meld together. Because as far as I'm concerned, what I've noticed is when they tap into different parts of each
like world, I
character
guess, or
their
show,
world
yeah,
or what have you,
Yeah.
they saturate the color in whatever color that
Yeah.
story is
So,
from.
yeah.
And as they come together, they start to desaturate those colors, and it just becomes one uniform color.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because if you notice, all those colors, when it comes to light, if you shine all the different kinds of light together,
Yeah.
they turn into white light.
Oh,
So it's really fun that when they all show up at the tower, spoiler alert, when they all show up at the tower to fight
Alexandra.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Okay, Alexandra. And she's from what series?
She's new.
She's new to this series?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Great, because she's awesome, by the
You
way.
like her? Yeah.
Yeah, I really like her. But when they all show up there, everything's white.
Yeah.
So it's like they've all come together.
Yeah,
and
that's true. That's cool. I didn't notice that.
Well, no, it's just a visual thing. Could not be
Well,
true.
you know, it's so you said Sigourney Weaver is like you like her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I didn't like is that she's one of the characters that they just kind of add to the show, and she doesn't really have like an introduction in the other shows, you know.
Right.
So like I was really hoping, like, already Nobu's like fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like they killed him twice.
Yes.
But I was just so hoping that they would kind of like just bring him back. He was so badass.
He was so
and-
badass, but
he was-
he had to go
Yeah, so I was like,
because it had to be a victory in Daredevil. Like they had to have something.
yeah, I guess that's true.
know.
But like, so what I'm saying is they kind of bring in these new guys, and you'll see how they pan out. But what I'm saying is they basically just bring in new people and kind of forget about
Sure.
Daredevil villains.
They establish her in a way where, like, she is obviously the head honcho, but they put in place with her a ticking like a clock because she's dying. They don't
Yeah.
really say of what; they just say she's dying, which is fine.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm
right.
like, I don't need to know what she's dying from. They just need to tell me she's dying. It's obviously something you can't see on the outside. It's not messing with her.
So you just finished episode 3, which I think is arguably the best episode. If you're not into like Marvel shit, if you don't want to deal with all these shows, at least go into the Defenders and watch episode 3 because I think it's the best episode. It's there's
I think it shows. I think it definitely shows off everybody's strengths.
yeah.
Danny Rand is.
No one really likes him.
Yeah, he's the weakest link in terms of story. At least that's what everybody tells me.
Right.
In the show, he is. Funnily enough, he is like the plot. He's basically the plot because it starts with him, and the episode that ends with him ends with his actions. Like he's the one pushing this whole thing forward.
Right.
So it's odd that they would go from that to like he's arguably the weakest one, and then they use him as the driving force, which is I think a little weird, but.
Well, I mean, he's the
It
most
works.
he's the most mystical, basically.
Sure, that's why it's kind of she's just a standout, but it works somehow
Yeah.
because Luke Cage is the first to kind of make contact with him,
Yeah.
and their whole back and forth kind of shows how ridiculous the whole thing is, and they do a clever.
Well, I was gonna say, go on.
They do a clever back and forth because Rosario Dawson's character is the one that she's like your everyday person.
She's in every show, by the way.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. And what she's supposed to do is she's supposed to bring us back to reality every time. So right when they start talking about
Yeah, she's Chris Tucker. She's like the audience.
yeah, kind of, basically she brings us back, and she does a really good job.
Chris
of that.
Tucker in Rush Hour. If I didn't get that across.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. And so when things get a little too crazy, Rosario Dawson is usually there to go, "Hey guys, we live in the real world, okay?
Yeah.
This is the real," and so she does a good job of that. Reins everything in.
Yeah, there was a couple of. I think my only real gripes with the show are like. I don't want to spoil anything, so I mean we could talk about this next week. Like I said, you just watched a couple episodes.
Yeah.
There's some lines in the show that I'm like, man, it's such a typical line. You couldn't have like thought of something better.
Uh-huh.
Like there's a line in the show where Jessica Jones says something like, if you would have told me 2 weeks ago, I would have been fighting ninjas with you guys or something. And I'm just kind of like,
groaner.
yeah, I'm just like, man, like, don't they say that shit enough?
Ninjas.
Yeah, there's a part where one of the villains says like, you and I are the same. You know, we both have the same goals. And I'm like, man, like, we just commended Spider-Man for not doing that, and then this show goes back to doing like. So I have a few gripes with it. I actually watched it over twice just to make sure I wasn't hating on it, but
it's a problem with, and here's like, when I saw the Defenders, the poster, I was like, it's gonna be really difficult for them to meld all four of these together.
But they did such a good job with the Avengers.
They did with the Avengers, but because the Avengers all exist kind of in the same space, in terms of like maybe Thor is a little out there. He's the odd man out.
Okay.
But everybody exists in this world where everything is done by like good people and stuff. You know, I don't know how to explain it so much, but they all seem to fit because they all live in the exact same world.
Yeah, you're saying the Defenders are more like they're all kind of vigilantes doing their own shit, and it's not really their thing to team up.
Maybe I don't know. It's shown mostly in episode 2, the first time Danny Rand and Luke Cage show up.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Rand is like, dude, you're not seeing the bigger picture. He's like, dude, you're just willing to punch out people just trying to feed their families, and that's the parts that don't meld because like Luke Cage is fighting for the people. You know, he's fighting for the everyday struggle. Danny Rand is on his whole other plane. It's the same way that Stick is fighting the Hand on a global scale.
Yeah. And people don't understand them.
And no, and Matt is fighting for the people that are like, again, they're trying to feed their families and stuff. So it's that kind of clash that I'm like, they don't meld together.
I mean, I kind of like Luke Cage and Iron Fist, specifically. That episode that you just finished up, episode 3. This big fight scene starts with them two.
Yeah.
Danny Rand comes into like a conference room. The Hand is all there. They bust out their little nightsticks and they're like, they're gonna fuck you up. And then Danny Rand starts fighting, and then Luke Cage busts in and kind of saves him. Mm-hmm. I really like that moment just because I think Iron Fist and Luke Cage, like, they obviously have a contrast, not just because one's black and one's white.
But that is a contrast.
Right. But just the fact that, like, one's like a little skinny white guy and the other one's like big black guy, and like the way they team up together, there's a part where he stands in front of him and Iron Fist gets behind him and Luke Cage blocks all the bullets. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. They're such a cool duo together, you know? Like, I'm not, like, it doesn't always pan out well, like, in the during the show. They don't do much with it, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But that little scene, I'm like, dude, it's so badass to see them fight together. Because they make a good team, and then that fight ends with, like, Luke Cage and Iron Fist looking at each other, and then Iron Fist puts up his fist, and then like it.
Yeah, I mean,
it just looks so cool. I'm like, damn, that's cool.
When I saw that, I was like, I'm really glad they didn't hold on it too long.
Yeah.
Like, Hollywood has this real problem with holding too long on things, and like, let's make this so it's like our money shot. It's them two standing there, and his fist glowing, and blah blah blah. But they did it really quick, and then they cut.
And they cut to
I'm like,
Daredevil.
okay, good,
yeah.
okay, they're fighting. This isn't like a let's stand here and like pose for everybody. They just did it quick. I really like that scene because when they all get meshed together, all their different stories really tend to like converge. They did a good job of that. The one thing that's a problem, and this is a problem.
It's like an episode of Seinfeld. All their storylines converge.
Yeah, they all intersect and everything. And overall, Episode 3, up to episode 3, love the choreography. Love how they're all kind of meshing together. Even though it's a little janky how they come together, it's all making sense. Um, the only gripes I have are small, like what I've been describing. One of the big ones for me was that intro is awful.
Yeah, the intro is pretty bad.
And I agree with you. I think we talked about it before, but the intro seemed just really lazy.
It's because like, the intro to Daredevil to me was like, okay, granted it was the first one they did.
Sure.
It was probably the one with the most passion behind it, you know?
Maybe.
The intro is like all red, and the music sounds like all like, I've said this before already, I know, but like, there's a heartbeat in it and everything. Yeah. It's clever.
Right.
The Defenders is just like a fucking light show, and then like their silhouettes. I'm like, this was made like in fucking After Effects by like some.
I mean,
intern.
if
I'm not saying
I know it's because it seems
that's a bit harsh,
because,
I guess, but it just doesn't look as clever or as thought out as like.
No, because to be honest, like you and I, since we're designers and everything, we notice a little bit more when things are reused and when things are duplicated and copied.
Yeah, and because like since it's a team show
right.
or whatever, I just thought they would use more of that with like the music and stuff, because in the show there are parts where like if Luke Cage like busts through a door or something, it plays like that little like wow 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 like the jazz, like the soulful guitar, and it's
and
like
they kick up the hip hop for
yeah.
Sure.
You know,
like,
yeah, exactly. When Iron Fist and Luke Cage are fighting,
they mix the two.
It's
like
Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like yeah.
It has that mystical theme to it, and I understand the intro bothered me because they do really push that 4-color scheme. The key word I think we used for Daredevil was subtlety, and this one is not. It's really heavy-handed. Yeah, maybe it has to be because they're trying to do 4 stories at once. Maybe that's it. But at the same time, I'm like, this could have been, instead of being 4 separate entities coming to one, you could have just made it one overall theme,
right?
As opposed to really trying to separate them.
Yeah,
but I think they really tried to push like this Voltron style, like color scheme.
I know what you're saying. It's like make the Defenders logo fucking white and then make white the theme or something, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Something different. Although it is clever that they tried to use. So I might be digging into it a little more, but I believe I recognize 2 of the maps. Daredevil's was Hell's Kitchen. Like the map of New York where his thing spreads is Hell's Kitchen, and Luke Cage's Harlem. I don't remember which one was Jessica Jones or Iron Fist, but those 2 I thought I recognized them. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like they're using the maps at least.
Yeah,
they're using the maps where they belong. The part where it got heavy-handed was the Luke Cage, how the one street went into his fist and glowed. I was like, okay, that's a little too much.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Intro aside, like.
Oh, and the other thing, because of the way that Daredevil was shot.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that show because the cinematography is on point. Everything's kept in shadow, even though they worked really hard on all the costumes and all the different aspects of the show. Everything's subtle and it's always in the dark. When they showed Elektra show up again in her costume, it looked so cheesy.
Yeah, I thought it looked kind of goofy.
And I was like, this is because she's being like the place they're fighting is completely white. It's all fluorescent lights and everything looks crappy in that light.
Yeah, not to mention in Daredevil, I believe she just wears like a black ninja thing, right?
She wears a black ninja thing until I believe the guy who makes Daredevil's costume makes one for her, and it has a little red in it.
Yeah, and I was like, that's all they really needed. Like, is Elektra's costume like the? I mean, okay, I'm not an Elektra fan.
Oh, it's just like so
she has like a bandana, right? She has like a do-rag or something.
Yeah, she has a do-rag, and then she has like a little onesie
but it's
bikini.
It's not like as iconic as like a. Right, so I was like, why can't they?
No, the iconic thing of Elektra is her size, but she doesn't really use them.
Yeah, so I guess it's like.
I mean, she's a ninja. I mean, she wears a ninja thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. They could have done something way better. I mean, to be honest, they could have dressed her up in whatever.
Well, so you said that you liked the cinematography, right, of Daredevil?
Very much so.
One thing I was hoping was that, like, I was like, when it gets to Daredevil, let it just be those shots where it's just one shot and they're like kicking ass or something, or him versus Elektra. Let the camera just sit there and let him fucking duke it out, you know.
That's one of the great things about Daredevil, the fight
But
scenes.
unfortunately, it kind of doesn't. Like as you've seen so
They've
far,
adopted more of an Iron Fist look because
there's like a lot of cuts.
there's a lot of cuts and a lot more gymnastics, I want to say.
Yeah.
But then again, towards the end of Daredevil, he was doing a lot more gymnastics because he got the rope thingy.
Yeah.
And so he's like flying all over the place. But again, overall, like it.
So far.
So far, I like what's going on. She's what's her name? Sigourney Weaver is great in that role. She's nailing that character.
Yeah, she's okay.
And it's so much so that I'm interested to see where it goes from there. And then this whole resurrection of Elektra, although she's not my favorite character in Daredevil, like I don't like her in that series, but she's doing her job in this one. The whole scene of her resurrection, everything. She's doing a good job.
At least in Daredevil, they make her really likable.
I like, to be honest, the relationship that I like so far in this series is Matt and Jessica.
Okay.
Iron Fist and Luke is more like I want to see them fight.
Yeah.
But their whole their whole back and forth is like it's like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah, sometimes
it's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you have a lot of money. He's like, well, you don't have any money.
Yeah,
so blah blah blah. And then there's
literally a part where he's just like, you're white,
and I'm black.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like,
no, I know it's very clear their separation. So like, them getting together is like a buddy cop movie. It really is. But Jessica and Matt are, she's a detective, so it's like Law and Order.
Yeah.
That's why they teamed them both up.
You're right. I could see that. Yeah.
So they're investigative.
And we'll try to wrap this up. But what I was gonna say too is like I told you this before is like Matt and Jessica work, Luke Cage, Iron Fist work. Any other combination, I feel like sometimes it gets a little bit awkward. Like I'm like.
I agree because
like Jessica Jones talking to Iron Fist, I'm like they don't.
I mean, think about the color scheme too. Which are the two closest colors together?
Okay.
Green and yellow.
Yeah.
And then red and purple or blue or whatever. Yeah. They share more commonalities than the other.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, I mean, that's my rant so far. I'm going to watch the rest because I finished Daredevil, and I'm really psyched that Punisher's getting his own deal.
Yeah.
That was really cool to hear.
I just hope they don't fuck it up. I don't know, because, like, there's a lot of these shows coming out, and, like, Daredevil Season 2, I was just like, fuck, that was so good. And then, like...
Well, if the same writers from Daredevil 2 are going to go to Punisher, to be honest, Punisher was most of that series. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot to go through.
Yeah, it really just depends on who's working on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So those were our thoughts on Defenders so far. Maybe we'll talk about more of it next week or...
Just tie that little bow up.
Yeah, and then we're going to take a hard turn. Not a segue at all, but just a hard turn into Kazaam.
The big man.
Yeah.
Shaquille effing O'Neal.
If you're a fan of the podcast, which probably not, we said before that we were going to watch Kazaam, and we did, but we just never talked about it.
We did watch it. I paid money for this movie.
Yeah.
Because we were going to watch it on this, like, we're pirates. I'm sorry. We were going to watch it on YouTube. With it was cropped in the corner and had wiggly lines over it.
Oh, I did find a clean copy, although it was only in Spanish. So if I put clips into this episode,
they're in Spanish.
They might be in Spanish, so I'm sorry.
But then Steven's all like, dude, just rent it. And so I actually went on the Xbox, the movie rental thing, and I rented it. This is $4. Yeah. That's the total ripoff for this movie.
I gave you the money.
You didn't give me the money. You said you would, but you never did.
Okay. So right off the bat, what I'm going to say is we didn't really talk about this movie because it's an hour and a half, but it feels like 4 hours. We were laying in the living room, and I was like, dude, this movie is like 2 hours, isn't it? And you're like, no, it's like an hour and 20. And I was like...
Yeah, even Cindy felt it at some point. Yeah. She was just like, my wife, she was just sitting there, she's like, is this still going?
Yeah, it is just a long... like draining
because it has parts where it looks like it's gonna end and then it doesn't, and then it keeps going, and then they're like, oh, this is it. No, it's not. It's gonna keep going.
Yeah,
it's just so much, and you think, oh, Shaquille O'Neal's here, we're gonna get to the party, and it takes forever for him to go.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
So we were kind of like watching scenes to refresh our memory,
right?
And we kind of want to go through it step by step,
Yeah,
as you deal with tragedies. And
tragedies.
Yeah. So the movie starts. I didn't even remember this. The movie starts with the kid getting chased by like bullies.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a typical trope of a '90s movie. Okay. It's like, oh, I'm getting bullied. I'm running to like, oh, and I fall somewhere. Oh no, that's typical. But I mean, it definitely works here because supposedly like this lamp that's holding Shazam or whatever, tips over and it falls and blah blah blah, and then
Kazaam. By the way.
I'm sorry, Kazaam. What do I keep saying?
Yeah, Shazam.
Shazam. We're not trying to listen to music, right?
Is that what that is?
It is a Shazam.
I thought you were gonna do a Marvel thing.
Bad joke.
Okay. But yeah, so the lamp falls over in this warehouse where he happens to be, and he gets summoned, and this little kid is like, "Oh shit, black man," and and lo and behold, he's a genie, and he can grant him wishes and all that.
And of course, the kid, like before he gets there, the kid, you could tell, is like everything in his life is crappy. He lives in he's a single mom. He's gonna get a new dad. Like,
that's right. Okay, so there's a guy in there that's like not his dad, right? And he's dating his mom. He's just banging her. And
he's not just banging her. Like there's a breakfast scene or whatever when he's like, "Hey, did you tell him yet?" And I was like, "Oh, like he's interested in being the guy's. Like he's interested in being the father."
Calls him Tiger.
He calls him Tiger because that's what you call your stepson or whatever. He's like Governor Tiger.
He's trying to move in then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's not just there to bang. He's there to get in there and get some like work done. But yeah. Inevitably, he's like, "You're not my dad," and he takes off, and that's when the bullies catch him, right? Mm-hmm. But then, like when he gets the genie and everything, Shaq scares away the kids, right? Because when the boombox shows up or whatever.
That's right, he's in a boombox or something.
Yeah, well, because I forget how he transitions into the boombox, but he's in the boombox because this is the '90s. Anyway, he shows up. Right. He shows up, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, why does it take him a second to get his powers back? It's so weird.
Yeah. So I do remember that he says like I want a car or something, right? And then he can't do it.
Yeah, and then he like F's himself
because he has a like genie erectile dysfunction or something, or like the budget didn't have it yet or something.
Something like that, and then like it backfires on him, and he's gone.
Yeah, and then the bullies grab the kid again.
Yeah, because that's what happens, and they probably mess up his bike, and then he's like, why is it every kid in like a '90s movie is like a genius when it comes to building stuff?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it just is. It's like it's one of those tropes from the '90s. It's like, oh, I may be a dork, but at least I can make these cool inventions.
Yeah, right? Like I remember, an example that comes to mind is like the Sandlot. The kid builds like this ridiculous thing.
The contraption, to like get the ball back and everything.
Out of this erector set thing, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But now this kid is the same thing. Like he has this warehouse where he builds a bunch of crap, and he's like, I'm such a genius. But the crappy part is he never uses it.
He has a warehouse full of inventions?
Yeah, he has a warehouse full of inventions, and he just built, and he just hangs out there.
I remember seeing like all the trailers and stuff for this movie. They were all in this warehouse. Yeah. That's all I ever saw.
Because this is when Shaq comes back, and he's just like, hey, man, I'm really a genie. And then the kid's like, oh, catch me. And he's like, okay, I'll catch you. And he changes his regular bike into, like, a chariot of whatever. And this is him, like, finally getting his powers back. Okay. I was like, what was the difference? Like, why? They never explained what happened to get him from here to there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, now he's Shazam, and then he tells him, or Kazaam, and he tells him, "I want junk food," and it rains from above.
Yeah,
this is the scene from the trailer.
The trailer, right?
Trailer. He's like, "I am Kazaam," and then all the food comes down.
Oh, by the way, like it almost looks like they only had a limited supply of junk food. Yeah. Because they keep replaying scenes, or they'll only show like a certain shot of the floor. Movie magic.
I think they spent the entire budget on this scene because
on the CG, scene, right?
The scene where he gets his bike and he flies around all over the place.
Yeah,
that looks expensive.
Yeah,
like I don't remember when this was, but I believe it was early '90s.
It still holds up.
No, definitely does not. It's along the lines of Mortal Kombat, so it's not. Doesn't hold up at all.
He's also wearing like some weird shit.
Well, he's a genie, so they have to be as stereotypical of a genie as they possibly can.
Yeah, he has like curly.
He has the curly shoes. He's got danglies, tassels. I think they're called.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, the one thing that always bugged me about this is he speaks in rhymes.
That's right.
Is that a genie trope?
I don't think. I think maybe Kazaam or maybe Shaq was just like, I have some lyrics like.
Oh right. Wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you just reminded me. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit, but we'll come back.
Okay.
The reason he does that is because in this movie, at some point, Kazaam is like, "Oh, I have dreams too. My dream is to be a rapper, like a lyricist."
Okay.
And so that's what feeds into that. Is like, "Oh, okay." And I believe at the same time that this was going on, Shaq was actually trying to like rap, like make an album. So this might have been one of those things where like, "Hey, I'm a rapper too. Maybe my genie should just speak in
so maybe the
rhymes."
Maybe the whole movie was just trying to sell his mixtape. You know.
You make him sound like so. He's like, "Hey, I got my mixtape."
Yeah. I mean, he had the money, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, you know, it's with successful people. You always get these people where you go like, you know what I should do, and then they're all like, "Oh, dude, yeah, you should definitely give some money. Yeah, you should totally do."
There are definitely a bunch of agents around him, or like
bunch of yes men going like, "Oh, of course you can. Yeah. You're Shaquille O'Neal. You can do whatever you want."
You know who could star in your movie? My son. Because I've never seen this fucking kid anywhere.
Actually, you know what? You want to hear something messed up? I think this kid ends up being a... what was that show with what's-her-face? The girl from Sarah Marshall. What was her name?
I don't know.
She had a show. I think it was called Veronica Mars. There's like this gangster dude in it. That's him.
Kirsten Bell? Is that what you're talking about?
I think so, yeah. And he's the gangster in it.
Oh, okay. So he still acts.
So, yeah, he still acts. Not... He looks really like
really
like, 90s here. He looks really 90s here.
I was just gonna say he was like a goofy ass looking kid.
But that's what kind of sold at the time. I mean, I could point like 3 other kids that look exactly like that, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
JTT is something else.
My god,
he was like he looks clean. This kid looks kind of dirty and like
oh my goodness,
his teeth are messed up. I don't know.
Yeah, the messed up teeth is a little weird, but you know. It's okay. Shaq's a little cross-eyed too. No, maybe this is a bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a bad render. I don't know. But then after this, like they get into the whole thing where like he follows him around and he's like, "Hey, grant my wishes." No, I'm not gonna grant your wishes. But the driving force for the kid is like, I want to see my dad. Like that's the part where it gets a little like it's cringy.
Yeah, Kazaam is just like, I can't do that, dude. Like, there's limits to the magic, you know.
No, he finds out where he like without Kazaam, he finds where his father is, and his father's like trying to get this like club to get going.
But he's okay. Okay, right after the warehouse scene, he starts fucking with him though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like he ties his shoes,
and then he puts gum in his pocket,
and he just starts showing up everywhere. Like he does this thing where he's like on the other side of the street, and he's like trying to hide behind a pole. I was like, first of all, you're magic, right? If you're magic, do you really need to go through the song and dance of like hiding behind a pole? It's so like, I don't know. Maybe it's cheesy just because it's a kids movie, but it's just so like weird.
Yeah, I know
so weird. And he's carrying around his boombox.
There's definitely. I don't want to skip ahead, but there's definitely one scene in this movie that I'm just like, why did that happen? Like, I'm not sure what happened, and okay, whatever. I guess they're just moving on from that. They're grazing over the fact that happened. But so yeah, you said his dad owns like this nightclub. He's trying to get in touch with his dad, and this kid,
because he thinks like, oh, if I get my mom and dad back together or something like that.
As 90s kids usually thought is you know Parent Trap, get them together.
Everything will be better.
They start banging again. Maybe my life can be better.
Yeah,
you know?
My parents having sex has a direct line to my happiness. So that's kind of screwed up. But yeah, no, he's trying to find his dad. His dad's kind of a douche, trying to get this nightclub started, all this stuff.
Doesn't he tell him to like fuck off?
I think at first he does because he doesn't know who he is. And then he's like, "Oh, look, it's my son." And then he gets all like, "Oh, this is my son. This is my son. You like pizza?
But what I thought was like, even after that, there's a scene where he's just like,
"No, there is
just like I told you to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
like,
because you find out that the dad's doing something illegal. I believe he's like, he's doing like a copyright, like he's copying tapes.
Oh yeah, he's bootlegging tapes.
He's bootlegging tapes. So when the son, can kind of see that, he's like, "Hey, you need to get out of here, get out of here," and he's like. But while that's going on, Shazam gets pulled up on stage, and they find out, oh, dude, this guy can rap.
Oh yeah.
That's when this
okay, this is why I kind of feel like he had something to do with the production, because all the girls are just like, he's hot, and like get that dark piece of chocolate up here, and like all this shit like that, and they're like trying to get up on stage to rap and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
he does, and then I think this is the pretty, like, there's this scene where he's just carrying his boombox, and he like holds it up, and then sparks fly out of it, and it's like, he's like, woo, look at that.
I used to think that was cool. I used to think that
well, kids are easily impressed with sparkly things.
No, I think it holds up.
Totally.
I think it holds up.
It does. It does not. But go ahead and think that. It's fine. But yes, so the other part of this is, I believe the actual bad guy, because the dad's not the bad guy. The dad is kind of like the person caught in between the bad guy and the son. But like the actual bad guy is like,
is that guy with the mustache?
Yeah, and he's uncomfortably a stereotype of somebody from, like, I guess you're supposed to think he's from India or someplace mystical.
He just looks like a greasy guy.
Yeah, but he has like this really bad, I don't know if he's playing up the accent, or I don't know what's happening there, but like it's almost insulting.
You know, they do that a lot.
Yeah, I know, it's a little insulting, to be honest. Like if I was like, if they were trying to represent me like that, I'd be like, oh, this is bad.
You know, all those actors on George Lopez they speak in British accents.
Including George Lopez himself. He's actually British. But the whole thing is that he sees Shaq rapping, and he's like, I think that's a genie.
Oh, okay.
And then he tries to get his box and everything. So that's the other part of it, right? But he's the one doing the bootlegging thing with his dad.
Okay, you know what, too, is like, I noticed that once Kazaam starts rapping, the movie basically becomes about him, like, or it just shifts focus to like him partying, or like his rap career kind of thing. Like it is a really weird, sharp turn that they take there.
Yeah, it's bad. That's all I can say. And then there's this okay, so like this happens in between all this action, right? But there's this scene where Shaq is like in bed with the kid.
Yeah, he wakes up. Okay, the kid wakes up next to Kazaam. You know, every little boy's dream. And like Kazaam, it's another one of those weird scenes where like Shaq is awkwardly trying to be funny to like a kid, you know, like he's putting on like the kid's clothes or something, or like a mask.
Yeah,
he puts on a gorilla mask, and like he's looking at all this stupid science shit that he has.
But then he takes a shower in his room, so like essentially it's just Shaq in a towel taking a shower in the like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I understand why people thought this would work, because Shaq's a really lovable guy, and he's goofy, and he's really fun. But this, I don't know what it is about this scene that makes me like, this is cringy.
These are kind of the parts that I was talking about, because like immediately I believe it's immediately after that scene where he wakes up with them, they have breakfast.
Yeah. And
he's dressed up like a tutor.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna tutor your son.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, why are you coming out of his room to tutor him? Do some late night tutoring.
Yeah, okay.
But of course he chooses like the nerdiest way to dress, because he's got the glasses, he's got the bow tie, and the suspenders. Like, it's so bad. And the mom just buys the whole thing. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're here really early. It's like 6 a.m., but all right. It's just like, you're here to tutor him. Great. That's awesome. And then they do this whole like CG scene with the waffle.
The bread.
Or the toast.
Is it toast? It's toast, right? That's what I was getting to. I was like, what?
I don't remember if it's waffles or if it's toast.
It's like this CG toast, and Kazaam makes it like fly around, and then it looks like it's gonna go in his mom's ass, and then it goes, and then it goes up, and then it like shoots into the kid's mouth. It's just so like, what?
Yeah, it's bad. And I don't know if it's because now, like, I don't remember seeing this as a kid. I'm seeing it now as an adult, so I don't have the nostalgia for this, because I didn't see Steel or Kazaam. I mean, is that supposed to be like super hilarious to a kid?
I have no clue.
Because like, I remember like, okay, so here's another movie that I saw when I was a kid that is definitely not as good as I remember, is like Little Rascals.
Okay.
Like, I remember seeing that as a kid, but I don't remember it being like, I remember when I saw it as a kid, I was like, that's really funny. And now when I see it, I was like, that's not that funny. No, I think it might be one of those things.
But you told me too so we earlier, remember you said like, you still think The Goonies is funny? And I was saying, like, no, but it still feels like a real movie. Like,
Yes.
I don't think it's, like, a hilarious movie, but it still has, like, okay, this movie hits the beats that a movie would.
Yeah,
It has a real
yeah.
story. It has, like, a sense of adventure and
Or,
all this.
for example, like The Sandlot, but like The
Yeah,
Sandlot.
even The Sandlot is, like, you know, you get...
I've seen that movie way too many times, and
Yeah,
to be honest, like, now it's getting tiring.
But it still has that stuff that a movie has. It has the structure of a movie.
And it does have ridiculous parts.
Uh-huh.
But they almost feel like a kid telling me a story, and they're like, and then he did this, but it still feels like it's grounded in reality.
Yeah.
You know? This, however, is just like, we have money for CG, by the way. He's like, I know what we should do. Let's make the toast fly around. It'll almost hit the kids will eat it up, and then it'll fly into his mouth. It's gonna be hilarious. Like, there's no point of that scene.
Yeah,
other than Shaq just being a douche.
I guarantee you that kid got bullied. They probably threw toast at his mouth all the time at school. You know, this movie just feels like one of those things where, like, all of these shots were shot, and then they were just like, how do we put these in order?
So essentially how they shot the Star Wars prequels.
Sure, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. No one's insulted those before. And then, okay, so
this is like right after the toast scene, they start talking about their hopes and dreams.
Right.
This is where that whole like you said, this is that sharp turn because they do these weird. This is one of those other things that is like from '90s movies where they do all these weird shots of them hanging out in this open.
They're rapping.
They're rapping.
They're sitting. They're rapping.
It's like, what do you want to be? And then one of them's like off riding a bike, and they'll cut, and it'll be different part of the day. They'll be sitting up somewhere, and they're talking just about their hopes and dreams and all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
And then you find out that Shaq's trying to get his rap career going.
He's a genie.
Because why not?
He's a genie. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, I don't. But I guess he really wants to be a rapper. So.
By the way, I don't remember, but do they mention his free throw in this movie at all? Because remember, it wasn't only a joke in Steel.
Oh, that was the Deus Ex.
It was the climax of the movie. Yeah, it was.
Oh, not Deus Ex. I'm sorry. The Deus Machina. Oh, what is it called? Deus Machina. It's like the thing that brings the whole movie together.
Yeah,
kinda.
okay.
Yeah. The thing that solves everything at the end. The free throw.
Yeah.
By the way, did I tell you that they made a comic of that movie? The Steel?
Well, Steel is a comic.
No. They took the movie.
Oh, and they
turned that into a comic.
Like the novelization of the film.
Exactly,
basically?
but it's a comic, and they have that same free throw scene in comic form.
Where can I get that?
I'll show you right after. We'll throw it up on screen if we find it. If not, well, I mean, it might be one of those rare occasions, kind of thing. But so then, so the rest of the movie basically deals with, I'm trying to get my dad not killed by these guys, and then Shaq's like, I want to be a rapper. So that's what the rest of the film is.
Yeah. Okay. So, but he does. Okay. So the kid has this problem where, like, he's like, my dad's tape is gone, right?
Right, the bootleg master tape.
Yeah, and so he wishes for it or something.
Right, because, like, the bullies or whatever,
yeah,
they come back and they're like, I bet you won't steal that master tape.
Oh,
like,
that's right.
Yeah. Like, not in those words, but that's essentially what they do, because they want to give a
loser!
You do that really well.
Okay.
I kind of think you've said it a bunch of times.
Yeah. I was not a nice person back then.
But anyway, then that problem gets resolved, and they're like, fine, now we're going our separate ways. Okay. Right?
He reluctantly
grants
that wish.
Yeah.
And he explodes him into class. He ejaculates him into class.
Okay, I don't think you need to use that word.
Okay, but his hair is all messed up, and
of course it is.
He turns around and he's like,
nerd.
He's like, I don't know what happened, and it like almost looks like a blooper. He's laughing like while the scene's going on.
Oh my god, that's so bad.
Yeah, it's a really strange scene.
Well, I mean, it's a 90s movie. What are you going to want? But then, like, same deal. It's just like the dad's being a dick to him because, like, he's like, I need that master tape.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. At one point in the movie, he's like, I don't give a shit if you're my son. Fuck you. And then the kid is just like, no,
But because he needs that tape or somebody's going to get killed.
Did he know that the kids took it, though?
Yeah, they saw it on the
monitors. Okay.
So he's being a dick, but only because he's like, do you understand that you could have been killed? He's like, get out of here, I'm no good for you, kind of thing, So he's not totally. He's like being a dick, but he's trying to be a dick so that his son can be fine. He's like, leave my son alone, blah blah blah. Here's your tape.
Okay, so the kid brings him the tape. He brings.
No, he doesn't bring it to him. He drives up to school. Remember, and he goes like, "Get in the car!" And he makes him cry in the car, which is like, why? Why are you being so mean? And then then he gives him the tape and everything's good. But like the kid is like, I hate everything at this point.
Yeah,
like
he's seen his dad's true colors.
Exactly, and he does. The dad's been a criminal his whole life. That's why he's not with him. But the real focus of the end of this movie is that Shaq can go and he's gonna have his big premiere.
Right, he's gonna have like his first concert or whatever, where he holds up or maybe he already did that. I don't remember.
No. He does that earlier, but at this point he's just gonna go and do his rap thing. But meanwhile, the other what's it called? The dude or whatever is taking the evil guy is taking his boombox, which controls Kazaam.
How does he know that, by the way?
He just knows it because this is the part where I'm talking about. Like I said, like he's super stereotypical. Like he's from like Agrabah or something. I don't know. Like he's this really stereotypical guy, so he knows these things.
Owns 7-Eleven or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now he has the boombox, but like he in the movie portrays it. He kills the kid. Remember, he shoves him down an elevator shaft.
What?
He almost kills. Like he shoves the kid down an elevator shaft.
Okay, hold on. I think you're getting ahead of me because
No. Look, he's got the boombox.
Okay,
right?
he's got the boombox.
He got the boombox, and then to get it away from the kid, like he pushes him, and the kid falls into.
Okay, all right.
He falls into the elevator shaft, but he's not really dead. But he thinks he is, and so Shaq gets all pissed and he starts kicking everybody's butt. And you know what? Now I remember there is a free throw scene in here.
Yeah,
there is a free throw scene.
He turns a guy into a basketball,
yes.
Right? That's what it was.
Yes, and no, does he slam dunk him or does he free throw? I can't remember, but he does. He takes the guy and he slams him, man.
He free throws and he misses.
and then he bangs him off the thing and then he slam dunks him. And then the movie takes another total left-hand turn.
He turns into God.
Something like that, and like he resurrects the kid.
He turns into Neo. He puts his hand into him.
Oh my gosh, it's so weird.
Makes his heart beat.
The whole place gets set on fire somehow. And while this is going on, Shaq picks up the kid, and then he starts glowing. And then Shaq turns into this big face.
Yeah, he's. I remember the gigantic face. He's like a gigantic. I'll put a picture of this one up because you got to see this. He's like a big Shaq gold face.
Yes. But then the kid,
he's like a Zordon.
Yeah. But then, so there's a stage, and then there's Shaq's face, and then, the kid gets pulled into Shaq's face.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you could play that part, but it's so weird. And then it, transitions from the kid being into Shaq's face into, he's being carried out
yeah, he's, in
by
safety.
a fireman. And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah,
what happened?
Shaq free threw him. into a fireman's arms, and he didn't miss that.
It's so
one.
weird, so weird. And this is what I'm talking about. 3 or 4 times we thought the movie was gonna end with that, but then all of a sudden, this is the actual end. So what happens in the span of 5 minutes? The dad turns himself in.
Yeah.
The kid accepts the stepfather. They all get reunited, and then Shaq walks off with his new girl.
Yeah, Shaq is free now or something, right?
Somehow, yeah. I don't know what he because he sacrificed himself for the kid, but he really didn't, or he cared about somebody else. I don't even know.
Yeah, and then he gives the kid a shake. He gives him ice cream,
chocolate milk.
Yeah, he gives him
gave him chocolate milk.
He gives him chocolate milk, and then he walks off with his girl. But he's dressed like crap. He has a wife beater on, and he has a.
He's not just like crap. It's hot. Okay, he just got out of a fire.
Okay, well, what I should say is he's dressed normal. He's not dressed like a genie anymore.
Yeah, and he's not dressed in some crazy hip hop clothes either. He's wearing some khakis and a wife beater.
Yeah.
And him and this girl are just walking away, and he's like, "What am I gonna do now?" He does give a whole what's going on? He turns around and looks at the kid
yeah,
that. She's what's going on?
And she's just you better not talk back. I'm a woman. So
overall, the movie is so long because it has 5 or 6 story arcs that don't go anywhere.
Yeah, we gave you guys about 30 minutes of the movie. That shit does not feel an hour and a half. It feels like
and by the way, if it sounds confusing, it's because it actually is.
It feels like Lord of the Rings. I feel like I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy after I was done with that movie.
Because there's there's so much happening. It should be just the kid and the genie.
That,
but then they got the dad. They got the ultra boss. They got the kid, the bullies.
Yeah.
You got the rapping genie.
There's a lot of characters there.
There's too much.
But you know, this is honestly why I didn't want to talk about it after we watched it, because I was just like, I don't know what there is to say about it, really. I thought it was way worse than I could have imagined, but it wasn't so bad that it's funny, you know? It was just kind of
there's parts of it that are so bad that it's funny, but it's not enough to carry the entire movie.
Yeah, but I don't know. As I was watching it, I was just like, it was bad, but I'm just like...
It's boring.
I don't... Yeah.
It's boring is what it is. Because, and again, I like Shaq. He's good. He seems like a cool guy.
I think I like Steel more. Just cause
this is what I'm telling you. Steel is a pretty good movie. Like, Steel hit all the beats.
It was a very, like, normal movie. I could honestly see Steel coming out of theaters... Like, maybe you and me watching it as kids, and us coming out of the theaters, like, that was a fucking badass movie.
Yeah, because it appeals. There's a lot of it that appeals to
kids. It has,
kids.
like, that temporary, like, appeal. You know how, like, once
it has a little Indiana Jones
You know
music.
you know how, like, every time you walk out of a theater, your, like, initial thoughts on a movie are always just like, man, that was cool. That was a great movie. Like,
and then you think about it, and you're like, that wasn't such a
good
movie.
It's like when you watch Spider-Man 3, and you're like, man, that was a great movie. And then later on, you're like...
Is that Topher Grace?
Yeah, I was just like, what was with that dancing scene? Like, that was fucking weird, you know? Like, it kind of sinks in afterwards.
Did he, like, hit Mary Jane in the face?
Yeah. I put that in an episode. I don't remember what the fuck we were talking about, but it was funny.
I think it was that scene where he, like, hits her in the face or something. Yeah. I don't know. But either way, like, this movie is just, it's so, I guess, so mediocre in a lot of different places. I mean, I can see why it was such a good idea. You got this little kid, and you got this big basketball player as a genie. It sounds...
You know, I said this before, too. I was like, I wonder if they were just sitting in that, you know, the executive room or whatever, and they were just like, genies are big, right? Shaq? Like, that was it. That was what's...
I don't know, maybe Aladdin was hit big at the time? I don't know.
Or like there was just a whiteboard and they just had the word big, genie, Shaq, question mark? You know, like equals, you know, like...
Equals awesome?
Yeah.
Oh. I definitely think that Shaq was trying to get his acting gig together, and that this might have been one of those scripts that somebody wrote, and then they're like, you know what, let's stick Shaquille O'Neal in this.
It doesn't feel like a movie that came about organically. It feels like a very... No,
you don't
forced...
think somebody wrote this part for Shaquille O'Neal? Is like, the only one... I wrote this movie about a genie, and the only person who can play this is the big man, Shaquille O'Neal.
I would hate to think that happened, because if it was like this guy's passion project, you know that happens all the time. It's like if this was this guy's passion project, like I have this deep story about a genie trying to be a rapper and all this, and then they were just like, yeah, we're gonna take it, we're gonna put Shaq in it, and we're just gonna fuck it up. Like,
but somebody got paid to write it.
No, but what I'm saying is it does.
But you know, I'll say this about the difference between this and Steel is that Steel felt like somebody was giving it. Somebody gave a shit about that. Somebody gave a shit about Steel.
Sometimes.
No. Like the people who were in it really believed in it. I think because there was money spent on that movie.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because you're maybe you're gonna reference that scene where they show his tattoo, right? They show Shaq's tattoo, and it's like, okay, there was some thought put into this movie. I know what you mean.
No, as in like all the different beats from a '90s superhero movie are there.
Okay.
But the movie is like it lives or dies by Shaquille O'Neal, and like he's in it a lot, and it's just he's not enough, or maybe his supporting cast is enough. There's something missing in that movie, and I don't know what it is.
You're talking about Steel.
Steel, yeah. But it's just
no. I know what you're saying, because Shaq is the only thing you remember from that movie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. His one-liners and the souffle.
Yeah, I remember the
one-liners and the souffles.
And his grandma was ridiculous. I remember
Wheels.
I remember. Yeah, his like little brother or whatever. Right?
Oh yeah. He's in the house.
That kid was like the worst actor I'd ever seen.
Well, yeah. And then Judd Nelson's in it for some reason.
Is he? He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
You're right. He's the bad guy. Okay.
But like, this is the last thing I'll say about Shaq.
It won't be the last thing.
Is Shaq?
I guarantee that.
In Kazaam, I think it was one thing, and then this rap part got interjected into it. I think halfway through. That's what it feels like. Like this was a cohesive movie, And then
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was at one point, and then they're like, Shaq can rap, quote unquote.
Well, I was gonna say that earlier too. Is I bet if we rewatch this movie, we would notice the.
Do we have to?
No, I definitely say we don't. But I was gonna say I think you would notice a lot of product placement.
No, I noticed it the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's so much stuff where it's just like blatantly there.
I only noticed Jif. There's a scene where they're at the breakfast table and Jif is just in the shot, like perfectly in the shot.
I'm sure everything that Shaq wears when he's like hip hop. Like when he the scene when he's following the kid around.
Well, I'm sure
and he has all these clothes. I guarantee you those were paid for.
Or the scene with the junk food probably has like.
Yeah, because it's like Mars and M&Ms and all this kind of stuff. They're all from the mother.
But that's what I was saying. Like it seems like that kind of movie where they were like, you guys want to give us money to put your product? Fuck yeah! Like have a scene with a bunch of junk food, and that's
definitely Pepsi in there. I believe he's drinking a Pepsi at one point. Like there's a lot of stuff.
The scene with junk food is essentially money raining from the sky. All the product placement.
Oh yeah.
So that's
I get that. I get that. I definitely get that. But that is probably how they paid for it. I wouldn't be surprised if Shaq paid a lot for that movie too.
You think it was low budget?
No, I don't think it was low budget at all. That CG costs a lot because remember, there's the CG when he first shows up and he's like trying to get things to come out of his hands, and there's CG with the bike, and the bike thing is like there's a transformation.
Yeah, because like you said, that was in the trailer.
Yeah,
that's the part they wanted.
So that was the money
see.
shot.
Yeah.
Like that was the big scene, right? And so when they show that off, they're like, "Oh, damn, this is it." And then at the end, when he turns Homeboy into a ball, and then slam dunks him,
right.
Like that's a lot of money. And then the whole weird Shaq face at the end, Shaq face, like golden god Shaq face at the end.
I have to commend this movie on not forgetting who it is. It is most definitely a genie movie all the way until the end. He's using
definitely.
He's using magic throughout the whole film, basically. So I mean,
dude, it's such a weird movie. So weird because it just gets pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah.
And the dad goes to jail, and then the whole thing is so weird.
The white man goes to jail.
And then Luke Cage shows up. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like Shaq was trying everything.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go back and play Shaq Fu because that was one of the other things he tried to do.
He's still trying to do stuff. There was he wanted to do another Shaq Fu that was actually good. Did you hear about that?
Oh wow!
You don't remember?
I do remember. It was a Kickstarter.
Yeah, because
that's where I got that language. They started calling them the big man in that campaign, and all of a sudden it was like he's the big man.
Or
yeah,
you know what?
That's the big man. Shaq.
It wasn't a fighting game, right?
It was a fighting game.
No, the first one was. This new one.
Oh, I mean,
it's supposed.
It's a 2D fighter.
It's
where
like
you're
it's like a God of War clone or something.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, like the game is the presentation is really good.
And the
actual. No, in the like the Kickstarter one, the presentation's really good and it has like a style meter and all that stuff. But it's just so basic. Yeah, it does.
I gotta look at this. All I remember was him announcing it because he had said something like, he's like that first game is such an embarrassment and everyone talks about how it's the worst game ever, and he wanted to kind of like fix that basically.
And if I remember correctly, the budget for that or like whatever goal they were supposed to reach wasn't a lot. Because Shaq put up most of the money.
Oh, that's nice of him.
But the Kickstarter was more like, let's get people involved.
He's a nice guy, dude. Like,
dude, are you kidding me? Like, he seems like the nicest dude in the world. And I'm glad that he's had so much success. I mean, dude, like, the guy does Cadillac commercials. That's big money.
Yeah, you know what? I will say this. Like, he's
not hurting for money. Let's just say that.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not a sports guy at all. But when athletes get rich and they retire... If they do funny shit or like cool, nice shit with their money after that, hey,
I'm in.
You're good. You're a good guy. You know, like look at Rick Fox, man. Like he's doing this whole. He started like an esports team.
Oh yeah.
And like he like hangs out with the guys. His Twitter feed is full of him like with his players and everything. And he kind of like
did a lot of comedy for the last few years. Remember he was on College Humor for a while.
He did stuff with Jake and Amir.
But the Shaq Fu. Maybe we should play it. I don't know. I think you can still buy it.
I don't want that game. that game is too bad. Like that.
You didn't even play it. Like the second one, the Kickstarted one.
Oh,
You
okay,
should give it a
okay,
shot.
a new one.
You should give it a shot.
know-
You should stream that.
Well, I was saying that's what I was saying. Like, I need to research it because I'm not even sure if it reached its goal or if it even.
I'm pretty sure it did. Because I remember it reached. I remember it reaching its goal, but the one thing that didn't happen was there was like this top tier reward where you get flown out to Los Angeles and you get to have dinner with the big man. Like that was one. Like I think it was the $1,000 reward.
I should just look this up. Okay, hold on. Let me just look this up real fast. Hold on. Give me a second.
All right. While he does that, I'm going to tell you the rest of the parts of Shaq Fu that I remember. Like the stylization of it was very, very close to Street Fighter 4. It had like the ink, and it had like the bright colors and everything.
So it got $500,000 basically.
Yeah. And I mean, look. I mean, just
okay. So I got the. It was Indiegogo.
Yeah, but look at the trailer.
Yeah, I have the page up right now. I'll put up some screenshots of the game. It actually looks pretty decent.
It does, and like I said, the style system it was borrowed. I think like right from, like not Street Fighter 4, but from like Devil May Cry and stuff. Like when you beat people up, there was like a style meter, and there was or I should say combo meter or whatever.
It definitely has a style.
Yes. I mean, Shaq looks ridiculous in this.
Uh-huh.
Like, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he looks really buff and shit.
I think if you scroll down.
Well, that's what you're talking about, right? If you pledge $3,000...
$3,000, you get to have lunch with Shaq. But if you read it, it says with the man himself. Sorry.
I don't know if the page is messed up. But there's only it only had 2 tiers. It was $3,000 or $2.
No, it had 5, 15, and like it had different tiers.
Okay,
it just lists them because Indiegogo does a weird thing. Like it puts the biggest one on top, and then it goes, small and then big or whatever. It was just
that would have been ridiculous if it was like $2 or $3,000. Those are the only
all
options.
we get.
Yeah,
we really
only
need the
options.
Money. But yeah.
Okay.
And then they actually they put it on the console. I believe.
So it was a pretty cheap game. It looks like because it says $15 gets you the game. And...
Yeah. It was definitely like a try that trailer.
Okay, well, I mean, we're watching this thing, and the animations are kind of goofy. I mean, the graphics look fine, I guess.
There's a stylization.
It does look like it was. It looks like 2006. It doesn't really look like 2017.
No, it does not look like it looks like right around Street Fighter 4 era. Like really, that looks. I mean, actually, this kind of looks more like Street Fighter 5.
It doesn't look that bad.
No, dude, look at it. It looks a little like their necks are a little too far out and stuff. It looks weird.
Like it on Facebook for a chance to meet Shaq.
For a chance to meet Shaq.
We better get over to that Facebook page.
Damn it. We wasted all this time.
Let me just look at a couple more of the goals real fast, because they were pretty interesting. It's all fucking stupid. Oh, personal voicemail by Shaq. That would be nice. $250? That's it? $250? I would have done that, dude. Personalized voicemail? I mean, who uses voicemail anymore, I guess. But,
right.
But still.
Wait.
I could have had him do the intro to the podcast, dude. For $250, I would have done that. Hey. You're listening to Radio Toons. I'm Kazaam. That would have been
Steel.
Yeah.
Now you know what would have been dope. You know what would have been dope. I'm not saying they did this in the game. But wouldn't it have been dope if one of the playable characters in Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn, was Steel?
I thought you were gonna say Kazaam. I would have been excited.
No, Steel, because he's a superhero too.
Yeah,
and he beats people up.
They would have. They would have to get the rights.
Rights.
No, I honestly think Kazaam would have been super easy. Like that has to be in there somewhere. There has to be like a reference or something. Because
I think it's owned by Universal, dude.
Wow.
He doesn't have the rights to nothing.
Okay.
If he doesn't have the rights to Steel, he definitely doesn't have the rights to Steel.
The health packs could have just been his drink. Remember those drinks they had?
Soda?
Yeah, the Shaq soda.
Shaq soda, and I bet like his I don't. We gotta buy this game. We have to buy this game now because it's only like what you said, like $15 gets you the game. That's not a lot.
If you backed it, yeah.
If I backed it,
yeah. So I don't know how much it's gonna be. It looks like a downloadable title. It doesn't.
Yeah. No,
it doesn't look like $60.
But good on him.
Yeah.
For making a game. I haven't made a game. I haven't made 3 movies, let alone 1.
Yeah.
I don't have a video game. That guy's making things happen.
I hear
you know
he
what I mean?
also plays basketball as well. But yeah,
and he makes soda.
So yeah. So that was the Kazaam episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've been holding it back for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry it took so long.
Yeah.
But, the in-depth analysis of it took a while.
We really needed to dive deep and really get every detail of this movie, so...
Because it was so long.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, was it long.
All right, well...
Any final thoughts on Kazaam?
Kid was ugly. I'm just kidding. That's messed up. You said he has a very good career now. He's
I don't know about very good. I just know he's worked in the last 10 years.
Because those kid actors, they don't always do so well. Look at Jake Lloyd.
No, they do not. No, they don't.
You know what Jake Lloyd is, right?
Jake Lloyd?
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar.
He's Anakin in Phantom Menace.
Oof.
Do you remember what happened to him?
Yeah, he just totally quit acting. He went back to school.
Well, he did way more than that. He had to change his name. Apparently people saw him working at PacSun or something, and he had to go by a different name. He got bullied out of school because...
Wait, why is he working at PacSun?
He got bullied out of school because the kids said that he ruined Star Wars. He got he had to keep changing schools because everyone was like, "Fuck you" and "Fuck Jar Jar Binks," all that.
Wow.
And then it ended.
He's just a kid.
It all ended with he's not dead, but it all ended kind of with him beating his mom and then stealing her car and leading the cops on a car chase.
When did this happen?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what George Lucas does to you. I mean, what about you? Final thoughts on Kazaam?
Final thoughts on Kazaam. I think Shaq really wanted to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it did not because I think there was too many cooks in the kitchen.
It was a very forced movie, like I said.
Yeah, but I think he gave it his all. That movie didn't work, but not because Shaq didn't give his all. He was acting his ass off in that movie. Mm-hmm. It just didn't work. All the effort just went to nothing.
I will say, I think if you splice this movie up, if you put all the parts with Shaq side by side, cut the kid out, cut his dad out, cut all the bullshit out, just have Shaq, it might be pretty watchable, but I don't know.
I wonder if you could do an if you could get the master reel and do an alternate cut. It might be one of those things where you can save it in editing. I
can only get it in Spanish, so I mean,
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, the bottle's gonna fall on the floor, and then it's just credits. That's what it's gonna be.
Credits. Yeah. We're good. All right. But at least there wasn't. I don't think there was a music album to go with this. So I mean, Shaq's a nice guy.
I didn't even think about that.
I think that's my.
Is there a soundtrack?
Shaq's a nice guy.
Is there a soundtrack to this?
I mean, maybe we need a little more research in that. But I mean, he was trying to be a rapper.
If there's a soundtrack, I'll have it be the closing theme.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it for this week, guys.
Don't do this.
Yeah. Don't do this. All right.
Don't do it.
See you next week, guys.
See ya.
Those babies had rabies, and we was in Hades because we moved with the harem of the Prince of Aquitaine.
Which you and her were in 1000 BC.
Buried to our necks in sand like a sea, by assaulting with the sword and a lock and a key.
They're in deep, will they ever get